When I went to the University of Notre Dame, Father Joyce said, Coach, there are certain things at Notre Dame that are not negotiable. Don't come here and think you're going to change it. He said, number one, he said, we are going to play a difficult schedule. We expect to win. Number two, you won't have anything to do with admission. Number three, you won't have anything to do with discipline. And the other thing is not negotiable. We want you to understand that the head football coach at Notre Dame is not allowed to make more than the president of Notre Dame. And the president's a priest that took the vow of poverty. Now, he didn't, and then Father Hesburgh said to me, he said, Coach, I can name you the head football coach at Notre Dame. I can give you that title because titles come from above. He said, what I cannot do is I cannot name you the leader. He said, titles I can give you, I can't name you the leader because leaders are determined by below. And I said, Father, what do you think makes a leader? He said, leader is somebody that has a vision and has a plan. And I want to congratulate the people that organized this event. I want to congratulate the people that put the Jimmy V Fund together. I want to congratulate you people because you want to talk about leadership. And I also, you want to talk about a brilliant individual. Father Hesburgh, I said, why'd you make Notre Dame coeducational? He said, I didn't feel Notre Dame could ever be a great institution if we eliminated one half of the most talented people in this world. It's great to see so many spouses here. And I want to pause and I want to say to you sincerely, if you want some great advice, listen to your spouse. Nobody knows you any better, loves you any more, wants to see you succeed any more, be any more honest with you. And my wife's not only somebody I love very dearly, she's my best friend. Remember when I coached at Ohio State, they had a national bank after we won the national championship, had a huge billboard sign. It said behind every successful person stands a very surprised mother-in-law. That's true in my case, may be true in yours as well. But we talk about having a vision, a plan, and we have a vision about conquering cancer. And you have to have a plan. And let me just very briefly say what I think some of the things are important about the plan is number one, you have to make sacrifice. I love to be around successful people, an athlete, a parent, a spouse, a business person. Because I know if you're going to be successful, you make sacrifices. There's no other way you can do it. And too many times, we lose sight of making sacrifices. I met some people here from the University of Michigan, and I congratulate you on graduating from Michigan, which to me, interpretation means you couldn't get into Notre Dame. But in any event, we played the University of Michigan, and when our football team reported, I talked to them about the sacrifice we'd have to make if we're going to beat Michigan up there. And boy, I want to tell you, the first couple of days, our players had enthusiasm. Then you know what happened? They forgot about the sacrifices they had to make to do something great. And I became the enemy. And I walked out one day, and every story I tell you is absolutely true, and I called them up. And I said, Ben, I know you're tired. So I called Bo Schembechler today, the coach at Michigan. I didn't call Bo. But I said, Bo, are your Michigan players tired? He said, yeah. I said, Bo, we're tired too. I'll tell you what, Bo. You give Michigan players a day off, and I'm going to give Notre Dame players a day off. They started high-fiving one another and cheering, and I looked at him, and I said, Bo said no. Bo doesn't care how tired you are. He's going to practice 2 hours. Now, I don't want to practice. If we're going to beat Michigan, we have to practice 2 hours. And we had a great practice because they remembered what we're trying to do instead of thinking about being comfortable. It worked so well that day. I walked out the next day, called him up, and I said, hey, man, I called Bo today. They looked at me real funny, and they said, what'd Bo say? I said, Bo, your players beat up and sore. He said, yeah, we are too, Bo. Tell you what, Bo, you practice Michigan in shorts. I'll practice Notre Dame in shorts. I said, man, you ain't going to believe this, but Bo said no. Bo said he's going to scrimmage. I don't want to scrimmage. I'll feel your pain, but if we're going to beat Michigan, we have to sacrifice and scrimmage. This went on 4 days. Every day I started off by saying I called Bo. I walked out the fifth day before I could say a word. One of our players said, hey, Coach, I called Bo today. I said, what Bo say? He said, Bo said his players eat steak and lobster. But the point I make, ladies and gentlemen, whether we're going to conquer cancer, whether we're going to win, whether we're going to raise family, whether we're going to be successful, there's going to be a sacrifice you have to make, and that's part of it. The second part of the plan is you have to have teamwork. Ladies and gentlemen, after I inherited the longest losing streak at South Carolina, I had told the football team, I said, I want you to meet me in the stadium At 10:30 tonight, it was around January 28th. The stadium seated 80,000 players, or 80,000 people. It was empty. The lights were on. The players came out. They weren't very happy people. I had a huge rope there. I said, give me the 15 strongest defensive players, the 15 strongest offense. And I immediately had a tug of war. And the offense started to win because they were stronger. And then pretty soon the defense started to win. Because they didn't have 15, they had 20, 25. Pretty soon I had the whole team. The defense here, the offense there. They're gritting and groaning. The offense won. They started going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, men, we can't win when we pull against each other. The only chance we have is when we pull for each other. I then sat him down. I talked to him about some things that are important in teamwork. It's important in the fight against cancer. It's important in athletics. It's important in business. I said, first thing, let's understand we need each other. We need money. We need research. We need perseverance. Everybody's got a role, and we need each other. We need the offense. We need the defense. We need the kicking game. I've seen all kinds of monuments built to individuals, but I've never seen a monument built to a team. And what a team enables us to do is to conquer things that no individual can do, regardless how multi-talented they are. So we need each other. Point number 2, whatever your role is, let's remember what our overall goal is. Our overall goal is to win. Maybe your individual goal, maybe your role is to be a second-string left guard, but let's take our role. And let's never lose sight of what our overall goal is. Maybe it's research, maybe it's finance. Point number 3, as the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork must elevate. You don't need teamwork to go on 11. When I was at Notre Dame, we played Michigan. We played Michigan State, Southern Cal, Texas, LSU, Penn State. People said, how'd you sleep when you looked at schedule? I said, like a baby. Woke up every 2 hours and cried. I thought, oh. But ladies and gentlemen, to conquer cancer. It's a great challenge, and it's a big challenge, and we have to work together. Point number 4, the team must improve. We got to get better each and every day. And point number 5, we cannot have a weak link. We can't have research without finances. You can't do a lot of things, but we have to understand that you cannot have a weak link. And then I want some other things. The third point of the plan is you have to persevere. You have to persevere and you have to believe. What's our attitude when things don't go well? Let me tell you what happened my first year at the University of South Carolina. My wife had her second major cancer surgery. They gave her 10% chance to live. I'm happy to report she's doing well. My son Skip went into a coma the week we played Georgia. My mother died the Friday before we played Florida, all my first year. I was on a school airplane, 4 days recruiting. I was going to be on it 2 more days. My suitcase there, my hanging bag, we landed at Lady Island Airport. The pilot said, Coach, will you visit the athlete? We're going to fly 11 miles to Hilton Head to get gas. During that 11-mile flight, the school plane crashed. One school pilot was killed instantly and died. Another one was injured and later died. We lost every single football game we played that year. We went 0-11. I had a kicker that said, I can't kick when you're watching. And I explained I was going to be at the games. And you know, everybody's bitching and moaning, complaining and tearing you down. The newspapers are on you. I'm at an airport after that year, and the guy come up to me and said, anybody tell you look like Lou Holtz? I said, happens all the time. He said, makes you mad, doesn't it? What do? You move on. You got 2 choices. You either persevere. And ladies and gentlemen, we can't lose sight of the dream. Please don't make the mistake I made. I've done a lot of dumb things. But the one thing I really and truly regret, I have a book that's coming out Tuesday. So now put me in a point where I've written more books than I've read. But I went to the University of Notre Dame. We took program on the bottom. We took it to the very top, and for 10 straight years, we kept it there. We went to a January 1 bowl, the sugar, the cotton, the orange, or the fiesta. Nobody's done it before. Nobody's done it since. It's the dumbest thing I've ever done. There's a rule of life, ladies and gentlemen, said you're either growing or you're dying. The tree's either growing or it's dying. So's grass. So's a marriage. So's a business. And so's a cause. When I left the University of Notre Dame, I never thought I'd coach again. Because where you go from Notre Dame, according to my mother, except you go directly to heaven, you sit by the Pope. You don't coach anymore. And then I went to work for television. That isn't hard. You just talk till you think of something to say. And then I went to live in a town where the average age is deceased. And ladies and gentlemen, I was not tired of coaching. What I was tired of was maintaining. And let me say this. You get to a point where you get comfortable and you have some degree of success. And then you get content and you say, let's not take any more risks. Let's not jeopardize anything. Let's just keep it here. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't do it. Because the minute you try to maintain something, you're dying. That's why it's important to have it to continue to grow, to keep getting better in everything we do. And I leave you with this big question, and it is an important question. If you didn't show up, who would miss you and why? I would say to the athletes, if you don't show up for the game on Saturday, who would miss you and why? If you didn't go home, would your family miss you and why? If you didn't go to work, would your company miss you and why? If your company went out of business, would your clients miss you and why? And the reason I bring this up, because, ladies and gentlemen, you want to make a difference in people's lives. By being here tonight, you not only are very, very successful. I know the people we have here are ultra successful. But you also are very, very significant. And what is the difference? Significant is when you help other people be successful. What we're doing here tonight is we're trying to help other people be successful that cause a dreaded disease. And I'm humbled to be here. But I think if we always look at it and say, can people trust me? Do they know I'm committed? Do they know I care? But important one, do they know I genuinely care? As I said about the sacrifice, it's not easy. Everybody has a million different demands. I know what it's like to everybody pulling, tugging in a different direction. But I will say this to you, there's nobody that can possibly call upon you with a more worthwhile cause or a more noble cause or one completely dedicated to helping millions of people, millions of families. I can't begin to tell you the amount of tears that were shed in my family over my wife's illness, particularly as we watched her degenerate in front of our own eyes. And that scene is duplicated in millions of families, and that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. I want to thank you for what you've done. When I was at the University of Notre Dame my last year, we played a game in Ireland. One of the things we did in Ireland was we went to see a monastery built in the 12th century. And we got there and all we saw was a huge cemetery and a dilapidated building. And while we were there, a young man, a defensive lineman by the name of Alton Maiden from Dallas, Texas, wrote a poem titled The Dash. I didn't know he wrote it at that time, but he got up at a football luncheon. He read this poem titled The Dash. Said, I've seen death stare at me with my own eyes in a way many cannot know. I've seen death take a lot of other people and left me here below. I've heard many mother cries and death refused to hear. And in my life, I've seen a lot of faces filled with many, many tears. After death has come and gone, a tombstone sits for many to see. It's no more than a symbol of a person's memory. Under the person's name, it read the date of birth, dash, and the date the person passed. The more I think about the tombstone, the only important thing's the dash. Yes, I see the name of the person, but that I might forget. I read a date of birth and death, but even that might not stick. But thinking about the person, I can't help to think about the dash, because that represents a person's life, and that will always last. So when you begin to charter your life, make sure you're on a positive path, because people may forget your birth and death. So never forget your dash. Jimmy Valvano was a successful person, but what he has done to affect other people cannot be minimized. And why has this happened? Because people like you understand the importance of the cause, willing to sacrifice, and believe. I'm truly humbled to be here. I hope tonight we raise more money than we ever have because it is such a worthwhile cause. Thank you for having me. God bless you.